SH.
Okay, we're live. Thank you. Welcome to today's full Kyran District Council meeting, Wednesday, 30th October. From staff, Aaron online, Laura, and Wilson Collins online, and we have an apology from Ron Manderson, therefore I need to move that. Could I have a seconder? Councillor Howard, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Confirmation of agenda. Can I have a move that, please? So Williams, seconder. Councillor Mayor, all those in favour say aye. Motion carried. Conflict of interest. I have a conflict of item 4.3. So I'll be vacating the chair for that. Has anybody else got a conflict of interest to declare? Okay. Public forum. We're welcoming Kyran, but he's not here at this point.
I think he is. He's right here.
Right here. Oh, thank you. Welcome. Okay, Kyran, you have 5 minutes to present, and your subject is you're the club captain at the Baylys Beach Surf Lifesaving Club, I presume. You'd like to come forward to the chair there from Kyran, and we welcome you, and
Man.
the floor is yours.
Cool. Yeah. Hello, my name's Kyran. I'm the club captain at Surf Lifesaving Baylys Beach. I'll be presenting on the observational tower project over at Baylys. A little background of our club. Got about 25 lifeguards, over 60 kids involved in junior surf. We've got a 24/7 search and rescue squad, which covers from the Kaipara Harbour up to the Hokianga. So a fair bit of coastline there. Run volunteer patrols on the weekends, so we have quite a presence in the community. The tower project itself, a few reasons why we'd like this project to go ahead. The first being lifeguard services need an elevated position to do our job. We don't have the luxury of East Coast beaches having our club right on the waterline, so it's common for West Coast clubs to have a separate tower. The second being weather conditions. The last 10 or so years we've been patrolling out of a gazebo, and those get absolutely destroyed every season. And we don't provide the protection our members need to provide an effective service to the community. The third, that'll be used for a base for patrol, search and rescue operations, and a base for our junior surf as well on the beach. It'll be designed to fit into the natural landscape, so colours, materials, all the good stuff. And the good thing is it's fully funded by central government, so the money's there sitting, waiting to be used. Short and sweet. Happy for any question.
Any questions, Kyran? Councillor Mayor.
Thanks for coming. I did meet you at the Baylys Beach once. At any point in time, did you feel handicapped by lack of the tower?
Yeah, 100%.
Because of line of sight and visibility.
Yeah.
And did any of the victim tell the same thing, that I was waving and waving, nobody could see?
Not necessarily, but we have other ways to combat it, but it's just effectiveness. And, if you're lifeguards, we're all volunteers. So if we're out there in the conditions all day getting battered by wind and rain, it doesn't make it enjoyable.
Yeah.
Whereas if we provide a fit for purpose structure, then we're going to get more people involved and it'll be better for the community.
Thank you.
Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tell me, is it right that the accommodation for your team is back at the back of the new community building?
Yeah, that's the one.
I think I've seen that. So.
Yeah.
Cool. This makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Kyran. Welcome. Hey, I'm interested to know, I think in the illustrations that you provided, or that you have provided, that the tower is going to be basically right on the, I suppose, the highest high tide mark, just on the beach.
Yeah.
So is there, I mean, you can only go back into the sandhills, I guess. Is there a vulnerability there? I mean, you know, with extreme coast high tides and,
If you look at Bethel's Beach down in Auckland West Coast, that tower's been there for 40 odd years and
yeah,
it's fine. Yeah,
Cool.
still going strong.
okay. And you talked about the scope of your area.
Yeah.
You know, so how many Ks is that? 250, 300?
Yeah, well over 140 Ks. Yeah.
Yeah, massive. Call that area. Okay, well done.
Councillor Erin Wilson-Collins, followed by Councillor Lambeth.
Thank you. My question, thank you so much for your presentation. My question is, would the tower then allow you to extend the hours of patrol?
I'd see that it would allow us to, yeah, because that's otherwise time allocated to set up and pack down, bringing heaps of gear down to the beach, whereas you turn up, unlock the door, you're good to go.
Perfect, thank you.
Councillor Lambeth.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, congratulations on your recent awards. It's a national award. Well done. Would it be fair to say that the structure, though you've mentioned that it's been tested at Bethel's Beach, so we do have a real life example of what works. Would it be fair to say that this needs to accommodate the changing sands, but also you need the height with the changing rips along your area of patrol so you can change your, yeah, it's not as though it's a constant beach, is it?
Yeah, and we're taking that into account. So the way, I'll use North Piha as an example, they have about a 3K beach that they patrol, but they can see that whole patrol area from the tower. And the engineers that have done the initial engineered, like structural design, have allowed for that height and sand difference.
Any further questions? Councillor Williams.
Presentation. I just wondered, so I note that you're operating out of the Baylys Beach Community Hall. But are there plans in the future for a surf club?
That is definitely a long-term goal, yeah. But yeah, money's a problem everywhere, so yes. Yes.
Just out of interest, Kyran, who's going to build the tower?
We will put it out for tender for local builders. Yeah.
Right. Okay, any further questions? Thank you very much for bringing that to the meeting, Kyran. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Informative. Thank you. Okay, we need to confirm the previous open minutes. That, can I have a second that? Councillor Williams. Okay. Put that to the vote, unless there's any discussion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Okay, and first on the agenda is Surf Life Saving Baylys Beach.
Mr. Mayor,
Sorry?
there's two more lots of minutes.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
I think you did them all at the same time.
We did them all at the same time. Okay, as long as everybody who was there, for all of them did vote accordingly. Okay, that's right.
So we're all aware of that, hopefully. I've got it on my notes here, but I'm sorry, I should have informed the meeting there. Surfside Life-Saving Baylys Beach Licence to Occupy. This will be presented by Reporting Officer Fleur Denise and Glynis McCarthy. Thank you. I'll move that. Can I have a second? Councillor No.
Good morning, councillors, Mr. Mayor. Today we're seeking approval for an LTO for the Baylys Beach Surf Life Saving Club.
I won't go into the detail that Kyran's given because it is in the report here. But probably just from a staff process point of view, we've been working with the team now for probably about 6 months to get to this point. So they've gone through resource consent and still in that process. The only step they're waiting for consent is the plans, which Kyran and them are working on at the moment. They're also working through building consent with our team, which hasn't been granted yet. I believe they're ticking away in that space there. I haven't added, there is an attachment to the report, which is the draft LTO or development agreement. Those details will get finalised under the CE's delegations. Yeah, I think that's from a process point of view with staff.
And certainly one consideration is to be thinking about the volunteers that are out on that beach at the moment. As Kyran talked about, that they're currently in a gazebo. By putting them into a tower that is going to take them out of the weather, that's certainly a much better health and safety outcome for those volunteers, as well as the fact that Kyran talked about that they'll get far better coverage of the area that they're patrolling.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Councillor Howard.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thank you both. I just got the one question relating to the LTO, and it says rates payable during the development period. Highlighted yes, no. I'm presuming, of course, that is actually no.
Yeah, that's just a standard clause that they.
Yeah. And there's no ongoing rates. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further questions? You can stand down. Thank you very much, staff. Okay, the move of that motion, all I can say is I think it's something we should all support. Councillor Naya, you're the seconder.
Yeah, I would like to add the similar spirited words. It's a good initiative and not putting ratepayers to any thing. It improves visibility and line of sight for saving lives, and which is so important, especially on the west coast, turbulent waters. So I'm all for it. The only thing I would like to say is that maybe we can fast track the consenting process. So they are sitting on the money, they go ahead and do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected members wish to speak? No. Oh, Councillor Lambert. Oh, and we've got another one up there. Councillor Erin Wilson-Collins.
Thank you. No, I just wanted to, just reiterate, it is an easy decision for me. The Baylys Beach Surf Lifesaving Club has been going from strength to strength, and this structure will enable them to be able to do the job at a level that's really important out at that particular beach. So I'm just I was really chuffed to see this on the agenda, and that council can support something that's really meaningful for the Baylys Beach community and all the visitors that go there as well. And just congratulations to the Lifesaving Club on all the work that they're doing. They're good people. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Lambert.
A licence to occupy is a critical obstacle in getting funding and everything else. Let's move that obstacle, move that rock out of the stream and make it quicker for them. They need this done now. Thank you.
Okay, we've had 4 members speak for the motion. Anyone to speak against? Okay, yeah, it's a great thing. Let's see it happen. I see that this will be a huge improvement for the Baylys Beach lifesavers. Thank you. So all those in favour, please raise their hands. Say aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carried. Okay, for the next item, I'm going to vacate the chair.
No, there's one before that.
Oh, it's one before, is it? What have I done?
He was keen to get out.
I've jumped the gun here.
Too keen.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. 4.2, proposal to consult on the draft revenue and financing policy. Can I have a mover for that, please? Vincent, I'll second it. Reporting staff, Sue Davidson, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. So today, this has been a long process, and today is the day that we're asking you to adopt the recommendation, the proposal for the new revenue and financing policy, which is considering the capital value versus land value out to the public. The key item to remember is that we are not all we are doing is looking at where costs reallocated. We're not changing the cost structure. It's based on last year's cost structure. We're looking at where does the cost, if we allocated rates based on the general rates, predominantly based on capital value rather than land value. So I'm not sure if Rob is online.
Yep.
Whether there's anything she wants to add to that, but all the papers are there, and thank you for Councillor Williamson for the change that you noted. And there was one area which said land value and should have said capital value, so we'll make that change. So when you make your resolution, basically it will have made the change.
Okay, any questions? All right, thank you. You can, Ash, you have a question?
Question, sorry.
I do have a question, Mr. Mayor, but after.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Councillor Ashnaya, and followed by Councillor Vincent.
Just one question, and probably you can explain a little better. So we are just redistributing the load. We're keeping the pie same. We are not increasing it. So we have chosen the means to do that is equalizing the stormwater district. So is it something which is recommended by the local government act, or is it just one we thought that is easiest? Because a lot of people are not on stormwater, like the people, the rural area.
So those on stormwater won't get charged. It's only those, it's the current people who are on stormwater in the area. Mangawhai, Dargaville, I think Baylys Beach, there's about 6 areas that have stormwater.
So essentially what we are doing a favor to the people who are not using stormwater, like rural areas.
No, so we didn't do that in the past.
Okay.
So people whose district doesn't have any stormwater were never charged, but they were charged individually based on, like Dargaville was charged for its costs predominantly. Mangawhai for its. Now what we're doing is equalising, the same as we did with the water and sewer. So we support each community when they have large capital amounts or depreciation costs, rather than letting one community fare on its own. So we put that to council, and that's what's in the proposal, as well as the capital value to land value.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm in the same territory, generally speaking, on the question. In our briefing session, I think it was an issue that common view was the importance of making sure that change to the stormwater rating system was quite separate from the question of capital value versus land value. And I think the document does that reasonably well. However, I wonder if, so I'm putting this suggestion as a question, it could be explained why it is, and it might help to clarify the other issue, why it is that we are charging the stormwater rate based on land value instead of capital value. I can guess why that is, but it might be helpful, do you not think, to make that more explicit in the consultation document, why we've gone with land value for this and capital value for that as our proposal.
Okay, Ruby has taken that on board as she's doing the communications.
I suppose I also have to take this opportunity to, on the open forum of this meeting, to highlight my concern about the newspaper report, which quoted Rhonda Smith as saying, the pie will get bigger, no matter how we split that pie, which is exactly the opposite to what we're talking about here. And I wonder what steps we have in hand to highlight that misspeaking or a misquote or misleading information.
Editors of newspapers obviously make mistakes, just like anyone, and that was an error. So all we're doing is making sure our documentation is clear.
Yeah, because I think we can use this as a means of highlighting the difference and the fact that it is not about, sorry, this is getting into territory of making statements, so perhaps I'll leave it there and I'll make statements.
Thank you.
So that was my, yes, so my main question was about the desirability of explaining why it is that we're seeing stormwater rates, and as people with stormwater networks, everyone's got stormwater. Not everybody's part of a stormwater network.
That's right.
Okay, so we'll just make that point clear, and that it's based on land value and the logic of that.
Okay, thanks for that input.
Okay, Councillor Lambeth.
I think Councillor Vincent may have touched on what I was going to say, but there's a sort of impression that rural properties do not pay for stormwater, but would it be fair to say that a lot of rural properties deal with their own soak-holes and dispersant on stormwater in their properties? And if not, a lot of them belong to their own drainage schemes. Would that be correct to say, which they pay for?
That's right, but that's not, yeah, part of it, and they're not,
Land drainage.
Yeah.
they're not affected in this policy.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think you can stand down. Okay, Councillor Vincent, move a statement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I think that overall, we've talked about tinkering with some of the details, some adjustments made before we got the final date out. But I think it needs to be seen as our attempt at consulting with our community, and we put up not exactly a straw man, but a best effort. But I think we need to be open to feedback from the community. But if we just had a bland statement saying, we think going to capital value rating might be a good idea, and ask the community, what do you think? Well, we've given them, I think, in this document, a good indication of what the implications should be, how individual property owners will be affected, but also what the impact will be for the district overall. And so I commend the staff for what they have done in getting us to this point. And also, as they have made the point in the document, this is the result of us responding to submissions from the public in the long-term plan process. So here we are with this clanking machinery, working our way through, and getting to the point where we're going to formally ask the whole district what they think of the idea, which certainly has merits as far as I'm concerned, and I'd be really interested to know what others think too.
Thank you. Yeah, I concur with what you said there, Councillor Vincent. It's about the ratepayers having an opportunity to decide what they want. It's a complex issue, rates, of course, and I think I've repeated this at every meeting. There's no such thing as a completely fair system, but our role is to try and arrive at a place where we get the best system possible for our ratepayers. It is the fairest we can have, and that's what this discussion is about. Okay, anyone else wish to make a statement? Councillor Lambert.
Yes, just going on from what the mover and the seconder said, this is a chance for the public to get involved with this. I just urge the public out there, and I urge everybody involved with this consultation process to make it as simple and as communicative as possible, because this is one of the biggest changes that we're going to suffer, we're going to be put through or go through in this council as far as ratings go, and it will have major effects in the positive and the negative effect on individuals. So please, to the public, please get out there and please put your views forward. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Lambert. Councillor Erin Wilson-Collins.
Thank you. Yeah, I think councillor Lambeth used a good word there, suffer. I think it's really important that people do submit, and I think it's really important that council will consider those submissions in good faith. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the consultation, and I'm hoping that there's people do their research and get involved on this. I think councillor Lambeth actually said it quite well. So yeah, let's get the consultation out and see what the people say with the information that we're providing them. I do want to make one comment though on the faux pas of the misprint in the newspaper, the misquote. It is reasonable and for a newspaper to print an edit or a retraction or when they've done that, and considering that a massive section of our community get their information from our newspapers, they don't actually get it directly from council, so it doesn't matter how good our comms are. If they read something in the paper, that is what they go with. So I think it is very reasonable that we make an approach to that paper and ask them to fix that error, so that is clear for the people of our community. Thank you.
Okay, councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I concur with a number of comments already made. I think that the interesting thing, this has been a long journey, and we have, I think probably at times struggled to ourselves to initially anyway get on top of all of this. But the good thing is we are making this to take to our constituents on the basis of it being, in our opinion, the right way to go. This is not a matter of following the lead of many other councils that are already doing this process. We've evaluated it on our own situation and circumstances. So again, as Councillor Lambert said, I just commend to all ratepayers to get in and understand as much as they can. We make it as easy as we can. And look, I would say to that last comment from Councillor Wilson-Collins, having spent many years in the media, unfortunately, the media these days are such a beast that they take the high ground, and any retraction that you might extract is toothless and actually half-hearted. So I do always support getting the truth out of media, but unfortunately in this day and age, it's a very hard thing to come by. Thank you.
Councillor Nair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't say much, but the dynamics of Kaipara Council is quite different from other councils who are capital value. So there's a big change for the ratepayers. And I think in the whole process of change, which is hopefully going forward as we are all saying and trying, the communication is the key. And in these sessions, I guess the council is well prepared with the answers on technical issues like, as Councillor Vincent pointed out, stormwater, land value, capital value, all those things. In the same breath, in terms of communication, I think we have to make a good start on communication. The key issue of land value and CV, capital value, is misquoted in public. I mean, if the council is not issuing a clarification, I'm happy on behalf of council to write to the editor to say, please correct it. Thank you.
Thank you. We've had 4 people speak in support of the motion. Anyone will speak against it? I speak for it. Councillor Larson.
Oh, thank you. I think that having read the quote that Councillor Vincent has raised, that it depends on what the context of the questioning and interview might have been, because the quote was the pie will get bigger no matter how we split the pie. And if they were talking about property value, when you change from land value to capital value, back to the pie does get considerably bigger. There is a lot more value in those total properties. So if it was in that context, then it might be correct. If it was in the context of does the total rates take change, then it would be incorrect. But I don't know whether it is one or the other, so I'm not sure that it's such a major issue. If one wants to delve into the papers and make submissions on all of this, I think we'll get your head around it anyway. Thank you.
Okay, movers right to reply, councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, well, the point just raised by councillor Larson certainly is worth evaluating, but I think it certainly warrants taking up with paper concern. And yeah, so I'll leave that point there. Perhaps I could have predicated my remarks by saying that in general terms, rates are a form of property tax, and it is somewhat uneven in how it affects people because it doesn't take into account people's debt situation. But our inclination is, per view which we're promoting, is that it is on average over the district fairer than the current land value system. And I think it's good that the consultation document has highlighted a number of potential downsides to, like, it's not 100% clear thing, but we're going out and acting in good faith and honouring the requests from the people in the community who responded to the LTP consultation process. So we're going through this, and but yeah, I'm more staking my interest on a decent consultation process, not in guaranteeing the result of us going to capital value rating. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hand and say aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carried. Okay. Now I will vacate the chair. Yeah.
The next item is private plan change PPC 83 Cove Road North, Precinct the Rise, and also we've got a recommendation in front of us. Do I have a mover, please?
Okay.
Councillor Vincent, and a seconder. Councillor Howard, thank you. All right, Paul and Michael, thank you.
Thanks, Chair. So look, we'll take the paper as read. Briefly, this is a procedural decision to seek to approve product plan change 83, also known as the Rise, into the operative district plan, publicly notify its operative date. So this is the end of a long and robust RMA Schedule 1 process. The Environment Court judge has now signed off the sole appeal, and so we seek approval to essentially declare this plan change operative. Are there any questions?
Councillor Mayer.
Thank you. It's just a process question. When this was any private plan change, for example, the staff gave an indication that normally take 2 to 3 years to get the whole process sorted. Is it true this was done in less than a year, the whole process? Is it usual?
Through the chair, it was lodged on the 18th of November 2022, so just under 2 years.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. You can stand down. Thank you, Councillor Vincent.
Thanks, Chair. What we have is a very much a procedural thing, and I think in this report you didn't have an alternative to consider by the staff. is the only realistic option because it is very much at the sharp end procedure. And I guess if we were inclined to against that recommendation, then I guess we really could be seen as a Mickey Mouse council. But we just need to say yes.
Thank you, councillor Vincent. Councillor Howard.
Thank you, telling me. I think that it's a straightforward, nice piece of democracy at work here, where plan change was submitted, heard, passed, but there was an appeal. And the community always has that opportunity to have an appeal. That is great. That is a good piece of democracy. And it was heard. I think that the thing for future applicants is to take learnings out of this and any other plan changes as to what the requirements are, the elements that need to be covered, and we learn as we move forward. And so we mitigate many of these, or as many of these issues as we can up front. Yes, good outcome, and we just got to make it happen.
Thank you, councillor Howard. Any other elected members wish to speak? Councillor Naya.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Vincent pointed out it's a process issue. He pointed out it's a process issue when the process started. So we are victim of processes, I guess, but being a person who would like to think ahead, I don't just follow processes and give consents for land banking for profiteers with the expectation that we'll have the infrastructure in due course by the ratepayers who are projected to grow and may not grow to that extent. So my word is always on that count, why we are going ahead. Do we have a definitive plan of expansion, or we are just at will approving? And we have done many. So honestly, I'm not happy about it. Since it's a process thing and it will come to council, I will go with it, but I have to show my discontentment in our encouraging land banking and a lot of things causing our expectations, the ratepayers' expectations on wastewater especially, which is an expensive affair, and water, which is not there in Mangawhai, and the more mouth to feed water. Probably will have to engage more trucks coming from Whangarei and Auckland. So, yeah, so as I said, the pace at which these have been consented, all these causes worry to me. And I think as a vigilant council, we should take a step backward and think, are we doing a favor to the ratepayers or not? Thank you.
Any other elected members wish to speak? Councillor Vincent.
I have nothing to add, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. He's the mover.
Yeah. Okay, got to reply. Got to reply.
All right, thank you. I put it to the vote. All those in favour, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried.
To your seat.
Back the judge.
Yeah. Takes a halo. Getting through the agenda.
Of course. Yes, you won't be able to take them on, even just to listen you out.
Coming up to
So.
Yeah. Presentation.
Thank you. Okay. Next on our agenda is item 4, 2024 shortened representation review final proposal. Can I have a move for that, please?
I don't mind.
So Vincent, seconder, councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've got Dale and Ben online. I don't think this should be a long process. However, I will hand over to Dale. If you can hear me, Dale, just to intro this item, please.
Kia ora, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Ben's just going to take it from here as he's been following this process quite closely. Over to you, Ben.
Thanks, Dale. We'll take the report as read and briefly summarise it. The purpose of this report is for Council to adopt a final proposal of the representation review that has been undertaken in 2024. The initial proposal was adopted on the 4th of September, and there was a hearing on the 9th of October, followed by a deliberations process that was on the 16th of October. At that deliberations meeting, Council resolved to not make any changes to the initial proposal, and therefore this report recommends that Council adopt the initial proposal as the final proposal. It comprises the Mayor elected at large and 8 councillors from 3 wards and no community boards. It also involves a minor boundary change between the Otomatea and Wairoa wards, which make all wards compliant with the plus or minus 10% rule. After the final proposal is adopted, there will be a public notice that will advertise the right of any submitters to make an appeal to the final proposal. And if any appeals are received, then the arrangements will be forwarded to the Local Government Commission for determination, which will be binding on the 2025 triennial election. With that, I'm happy to take any questions or further clarify any part of the report.
Okay, any questions, please? Councillor Vincent?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so I have got just a couple of questions, and it's I'll be interested in your response to see whether it's worth making any alterations to the consultation document. One thing that perhaps, I guess I have in mind the content of some of the submissions we received, and this might be a way of indicating that we had listened to them, is just to explain, rather than just because there's an Act of Parliament which says because we made the decision on the Maori wards issue that we did, we therefore need to now do a truncated representation review. But could you also explain some of the maths behind that, in that unless there was a completely smooth spread of Maori ward, of Maori role electors across the district, we would have to have a representation review in order to accommodate any differences. Otherwise, we could end up with distortions in the numbers being represented. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yes, well, the representation review is required regardless of how those population numbers work out once the Māori ward is disestablished. There were several options that were proposed. One included not making any changes, and some included making changes to accommodate the fact that, as you say, that the Māori population wasn't proportionally distributed across the district. As to this report, there are several reasons why the final proposal is as it is. They are laid out in the report. If there's anything else in particular that you wish to be amended to it, I'm happy to hear that.
Okay, because I just thought that might have been helpful to have not just the fact that it was a legal requirement, but also for practical reasons in order to meet the plus or minus 10% requirement. That's how we end up. And also, would it be helpful, do you think, if we were to include and this is once again responding to submissions, indicate how many electors there are per councillor in the other northern councils? So we can see, regardless, yes, very well off.
Yep, I think we did talk about those in some of the briefings. Both of the other 2 territorial authorities in the northern area have a higher number of population per councillor ratio to Kaipara. It's around the 7,000 mark.
Yep, significantly higher, yes.
Yeah.
I I think that, I suppose I'm looking for ways in which I want to signal that we heard what those people were saying, and some of whom were misinformed. And what they were requesting we couldn't legally do, but at least to indicate, well, we're not just steamrolling ahead with our preferred option so that might be a way of showing why we've gone down the path we've gone down.
And it is necessary to explain the reasons for making any changes to the current arrangements in the public notice. So in the public notice of the initial proposal, we did explain that one of the reasons for reducing the number of councillors was to bring the population ratio more in line with the other territorial authorities in the Northern region, and we'll do the same thing again for the final proposal public notice.
Thank you.
Councillor, I think I had someone in front of you. Was it you? No. Okay, Councillor Naya.
Councillor, just I did ask this question a few months ago, and I have to ask again when we are going for consultation. So most of the people would not know about this case, which is still pending, and we are waiting decision, right? As a more communicative council, is there some way we can tell them that this is subject to that thing going on side by side? Or we'll have to stop it if it goes other way?
Very Mr. Mayor, I'll take that, Dale. So we are still following our statutory timeframes and our legislative responsibilities here. So we won't be referring to the judicial review outcome until the judicial review outcome is known, available, and assess what it says we are required to do. We are required to follow this legislative process, and that's what we're doing this step before we confirm it, and then there's an appeal period.
So people will not know what's going on, right?
But no, we've been very clear. We are following this process as we're required to do so, and we're just completing all the steps.
Thank you.
Correct.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. You can stand down. Move a statement, Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess the main points I wish to make is, firstly, we end up in this situation with a truncated representation review because of the constraints of the legislation that we're bound by. And as a result, for me, I favour a more conservative approach rather than something more radical, which would require a more thoroughgoing consultation process with the community, such as Councillor Lambeth has suggested in the past of significantly reducing the total number of councillors, because that would take a bit to digest, and there'll be pluses and minuses with any option we choose. But I guess what my main motivation, given the situation is, and acknowledging that I accept it was council decision, even though I've voted against it, that what we're dealing with now is representation review. And I think the simplest option is the one that we have in front of us, and it will be the most recognisable for the most people. So that's why I think it should have the best chance of getting through without challenge, and a long and happy life to all concerned.
Thank you, Councillor Vincent. Councillor Naya. Councillor Howard. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, we've ended up in a position that is logical. We've heard 60 odd responses from the community, many from the West Coast. I still have sympathy for a number of our ratepayers from over that side seeking representation other than just based in Dargaville, because there is this massive difference between, I actually worked out last night that I think that our coastline here is not 8 kilometres, it's more closer to 5 versus something in the order of 250 kilometres over the other side. And I don't think that for 1 second that rationalises an increased number representatives over there, but it can give rise to consideration, and maybe we need to do it in future to a more of a country representation or representative. But other than that, I do agree with Councillor Lambert that we have landed with all points taken into account at a logical position. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mayer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, it's not really logical, but that's the way we are going. As I mentioned, when we decided on Maori wards, there was a political football. We have no choices. So we had to choose this way. And again, we are in the same situation till the decision come. A representation review is a representation review. It's not a numbers game. It's not whether you want to be in Wairoa ward or you want to be in Otamatiri ward. And that's what we have done. We have decided we are going for 8, and that's it. I think the consultation is farcical rather than logical. But whatever it is, it is. You're just playing the game. Thank you.
Further comments, Councillor Lambert?
Yeah, I think there was might have got councillors mixed up. I think you're talking about Councillor Vincent, not me, because I hadn't spoken yet. Just to be consistent, I've always felt that our numbers are too big, and I'm at the Alamo now and I've been backed up, and I'll go down fighting. So I'll be voting against this motion because my whole philosophy over the last 5 or 6 years has been to reduce the numbers. So I'll stick and be consistent, and I still believe that's the way to go. Thank you.
To speak? Okay. Right to reply. Oh, sorry, Councillor Erin Wilson-Bottom's up there.
Thank you, sorry. I concur with Councillor Lambeth. I'm for the same reasons. I'm going to vote against this motion. I would like to see a reduction, and this was an opportunity to do that. I also just want to reflect Councillor Howard's comments about the representation on the West. It is very difficult now that the previous 2 wards have been amalgamated. It is really a demonstration, I believe, of the importance of ward structures and why they are used to denote communities of interest and to enable those communities of interest to vote for elected members that represent their viewpoints or may have a better understanding of what they need from their elected members. And that is a perception thing as well, because although there is 3 what we call Dargaville based elected members in the Wairoa ward, 2 of them still have connections to the outer areas. So I'm really the only townie, and I'll own that. So I just want to highlight that, yes, there is an importance for communities of interest, and there is an importance for ward structures. I would also like to note my disappointment of the silencing of people who wanted to submit on the representation for Māori, because even though we had already voted to remove the Māori ward, that is still a community of interest, and it is still relevant to a representation review. And it's important, I think, that we listen or allow our community to feel heard at the very least on these issues that are contentious and divisive. So that's I'll be voting against. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Paniora.
Kia ora tātou. Aroha mai for not being there, Tinana. I'm Māwiwi sick today, so really important decision that we're making today. I have quite intentionally kept myself out of the process throughout, given my obvious disappointment and disagreement to the way that this whole process has been conducted. And also, likewise on the basis that we're still waiting on a decision on the judicial review before the High Court. I concur with Councillor Wilson-Collins' comments around the silencing of some of the submitters in terms of the broader and relevant issues with communities of interest, i.e. The Māori community. I note that there were discussions had around, potholes out at the beach and other opportunities for those submitters to talk more widely. But there was a very clear direction that they were not to speak on that. That was very disappointing. Usually I have abstained throughout this process, but today I'll be voting against any sort of structure that does not include the Māori ward and has likewise not involved consideration of a Māori ward of interest in this current representation review. Granted that the council had disestablished the Māori ward, and just touching on the specific structure, the percentage of constituents to councillors for Kaiwaka Mangawhai is less than that for each Wairoa ward councillor. So there's 3 councillors for the Wairoa ward, which means that it's actually the inequities triple the amount, and that the advantage that the Kaiwaka Mangawhai ward councillors receive the benefit of having to represent less constituents is also creates an inequity in the representation and the numbers that we've come up with. And this proposal, and finally, this proposal is in line with what was proposed originally. So again, I see no consideration of the submissions process, the democratic process, and allowing the community to feed in to the process, and then a potentially different outcome resulting from that. Time and time I've seen over the last 2 years merely paying lip service to these democratic processes and to no avail. So those are the reasons why I'll be voting against this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Masters.
Thank you, Your Worship. Take you all back to earlier this century in 2002 when the Local Government Act 2002 came into effect, and we changed from a representative democracy model to a participatory democracy model. And in fact, 2 years ago, everybody around the table read out and signed a declaration that they would act in the best interest of the district as a whole. That's because under a participatory democracy model, we do all represent the district as a whole. We are not representing the ratepayers of a particular ward, despite the fact that we were elected in a ward. So I find it a little surprising 2 years down the track, being in council here, that there is still some of a view that we're under a representative democracy model when we're not. But anyway, we must move on and put our motion to the vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, movers right to reply, Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I did, didn't I? We had a chance, but we've actually had a diversity of views expressed around the table, and that is part of the process. I think it's unsatisfactory how we got to be here, but we are here, and I was to take from an article by Simon Wilson in a Herald article might have been last week. I'm still catching up. Councils need to do the business, and we are under legal obligation to do the business, And I think that this represents the most straightforward way to get to our destination on time. Philosophical differences we might have, we just have to find a way. And yeah, it's interesting to hear Councillor Larson's perspective, because I think one of the steps in the process that we just followed was to identify communities of interest. And I wonder what purpose that serves, if it is just simply to be a reflection of participatory democracy. So that's, I guess, a discussion to be held as part of a comprehensive representation review. We'll get down to the fundamentals more thoroughly, but this is a very much a once over lightly process, and I put that at the door of the government of the day rather than ourselves. And I thank our advisors in this for coming up, walking us through this process to get to the conclusion we have done on time. So I certainly endorse the process where we've got to and the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hand, say aye. Aye. Against?
Against.
Against. Can I have my vote recorded, please?
Well, call a division, just let's get this clear.
Yeah, just have a division to be clear.
Councillor Howard.
For?
Councillor Lander.
Against.
Councillor Larson.
For.
Councillor Nair. For. Councillor Peniora.
Against.
Councillor Vincent.
For.
Councillor Williams. Councillor Wilson-Collins.
Against.
Mayor Jackson.
For. Motion carried, thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is item 4.5, Mangawhai Community Park Master Plan, not being the final. Can I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Howard, can I have a seconder? Councillor Larson. Thank you. Jenny?
I'm putting this report on behalf of Mark Schurz today, who's away. So the purpose of the report is for the elected members to consider the recommendation by the Mangawhai Community Park Governance Committee that the Mangawhai Community Park Master Plan be adopted. Just a bit of background, there's been extensive consultation with the public and also with the Mangawhai Community Park Governance Committee, and submissions have been considered and the recommendations from the Governance Committee have been included in the master plan, which is before you today adoption. So if there's, I'll take it as read, and if there's any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. No questions. Thank you.
Yes.
I do.
In there.
Not out there. Sorry, I didn't look at the screen.
I could tell you missed my dance.
There you go, Erin.
Okay. Hi, Jenny.
Hi.
Sorry, my questions are around the commercial activity. So this plan is a little bit different from previous, because the previous plan just said no commercial activity, basically. So can you just give, do you have any idea or can give any examples of what commercial activity could be conducted there? And the reason I'm asking that is because there are two definitions within the plan. One definition talks about commercial activity that is a I don't have words. This is what happens when my head isn't working. One is the contribution to the existing use and overall visitor experience of the park, but then there's another difference. That's on page 11. Then there's a different definition on page 21 and page 27 that talks about commercial activity that gives a contribution to the economic development of the community. And that just seems to conflict to me. So I'm just interested to know more about that.
Through the chair, the submissions that we had from the public and also the considerations from the governance committee were that light commercial would be around kind of like-minded activities from the park. So cafes, as we've got now, anything to do with like the skate park, repairs. Yeah, so keeping it within that kind of the whole model of the park. Yeah, not introducing something out of the sphere.
Okay, so my follow-up question then is, should we have that definition consistent throughout the document? That it sounds like the one on page 11 is the one that you'd like to stick with, is the existing use and overall visitor experience of the park, rather than the economic benefit of the community, because that to me reads like it could be anything. But also in that question as well, you've just said light commercial, but I noted in the document the word light had been removed. So it just said commercial. So I just want to clarify, is that giving the correct intention?
Longer term commercial options that may provide necessary and meaningful contribution to the infrastructure. That's what it is.
Through the chair, I'm not sure if you could hear Howard.
Not quite.
The if I may, the line says here on page 11, in the longer term, commercial options that may provide necessary and meaningful contribution to the infrastructure or economic development of the community may be considered by council. May be considered by council.
Okay.
So sorry, that doesn't answer my question. Do we want to have a consistent, so my first question is, do we need to have a consistent definition of what we're meaning to be able to direct future councils to the intention of what those submissions were? And the second question is it only light commercial? Because that word light I saw removed, and I'll just see if I can find it now. Again. So those are my two questions.
I think the governance committee considered the word light and brought it back into commercial activities that were in line with the park's activities.
And economic development of the community, like a warehouse perhaps?
Keeping the chair, keeping in line.
Sorry, I just jumped in there.
Yeah. With the activities of the park, so that it's a skate park, that it's a arts and culture, so keeping it as in cafes, do with the actual activities of the park as it is.
Ancillary to or supporting of, yeah. So the words I had quoted earlier.
Councillor Mayer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have similar concerns, but
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I still haven't had my question answered about the definition.
So we can, through the chair, we can, with your recommendation, we can change the actual definition on both pages to align. And we
There's
have
three pages.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if I could, sorry, Jenny.
Right.
Just heard from obviously Councillor Howard, who's been part of this process, and the feeling is from the committee and the work that the statement on page 11 is the correct one, is the more relevant one, which is in the longer term commercial options that may provide necessary and meaningful contribution to the infrastructure or economic development of the community may be considered by council. So, Councillor Wilson-Collins, to answer your question, I believe that's the intent. We have a delegation, if this is passed today, for the Mayor and CCE to tidy up our editorial changes. We could tidy up that editorial change along those lines to reflect your feedback. But that's my understanding of the intent of what has been put in front of you today after going through the consultation process with the community and the governance committee.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Mayer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So without going into details of what we're talking about on commercial part, if I look at page 11, we're talking page 10, you did have a mention of this community area being of Elma Road or ground when you were having the discharge of wastewater scheme. That's the commercial part. And there's a lot of apologetic words used for doing that. This is in direct contrast to proposing that we should go commercial. Okay, let's go commercial. So why we should not explore having wastewater, increasing the capacity of Brown Road, which we are already having on the park, rather than going $60 million at the cost to go into golf course. Have you explored that option?
The chair, no, we haven't.
I would like to.
I don't think that's the role, it's not the role of that committee, I don't think.
Yeah, I think I will be going against it because we have to look at all commercial options. And this is an option you already given your hand. Why don't you give your arm? Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wish to ask a question of Jenny? Councillor Williams.
Thank you. Can I just clarify something? If anything came up that was to be considered commercial and to be involved in the park, would it be a decision of full council?
Yes.
So it would actually still be there'd still be a process. Yeah.
And so with through you, Mr. Mayor, if I may, so obviously, you know, the governance committee would be part of that. There'd be a quite a process around that.
Yes.
We'll come back to full council.
Through the chair, they have a process of the Friends Committee. From the Friends Committee go to the Governance Committee. Governance Committee then recommend for staff to take it to full council or decline it.
That's why I have this in front of us today. It's that process.
I am on that committee. I was just checking the process of anything that was to happen at the time. It would be a full council decision.
Okay, Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a detailed thing. I'm on the marked up copy on agenda page 310, I think it is. And there's a reference to the here. Added text, there's the commitment to the stories of Mana Whenua, the ode Maori, which I think should be to O Maori. AO rather than AU. Excellent. Thank you. I just check that out and see.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to ask any questions? Thank you. Councillor Howard, your statement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was a robust, another robust process through the council and a really good, enthusiastic response across a good number of ratepayers with varied responses. Generally, I think, without glossing over anything, and obviously there were some that were against elements of this or wanted changes. But the community as a rule is absolutely emphatically supportive of the Mangawhai Community Park and what it provides, and actually the protection really of the sanctity of the bush, the forest, the recreational values and amenity values of it. I'm very happy that the process has been well debated and ratepayers well listened to. I would take this opportunity to say to Councillor Naya that trying to bring in a commercial aspect of the wastewater treatment plant disposal is absolutely out of left court. It has nothing to do. That has been well and truly discussed. And actually, there's been any number of presentations made to council on the right way forward for wastewater disposal. So, that is a totally separate entity and not related. It just so happens that the plant is in the boundaries of the community park, and that's that. It's not going to change as far as I can see forever. So with this, I would encourage fellow councillors. It has been well approved by the Friends. It has been well approved by and discussed by the governance group. And so the strong recommendation is that our fellow councillors would support that. And to Councillor Wilson-Collins' comment, I'm sorry if there is some confusion there in the writing, because, you know, we have tried and worked through to get everything aligned, and so if there is the odd thing missed, well, we do have the ability of the CEO and the mayor to make those editorial changes. Thank you.
The second statement, Councillor Larson.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I think that's not being on that committee. I think it looks like there's been a pretty robust process with all parts of the community involved, and looks very well considered. So I'm happy to support pushing ahead with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Paniora, did you have your hand up? Not anymore. No. Councillor Aaron Wilson.
Yes.
Colin? Oh, you did. So I can't see your hand up.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that I guess I support the motion for the community master plan. And I just wondered when statements were opened up to be able to respond to other councillors' statements. I thought that they were supposed to be statements on the motion, but if we're responding to other councillors' statements, then I just wonder if we're representing the whole community, why some of the Mangawhai councillors never seem to be advocating for the Dargaville community and only press points. This is a perfect example of that with this motion. You don't hear these councillors going as hard on their statements when it's anything to do with Dargaville. So a little bit of, you know, a little bit more even-handedness on either side would go a long way. Thank you.
Councillor Aaron Wilson Collins.
Thank you. So I've looked at the documents again while other councillors have been speaking. So I still need some clarification. This may make a bit more sense unless I'm reading something wrong. So we've got the track changes version of the master plan, and my understanding is that when you have something in a different colour and underlined, that's an addition to the document. So under attachment B is our track change version. On page 11, it does say longer term commercial options that may provide necessary and meaningful contribution to the infrastructure or economic development of the community may be considered by council. These must be relevant to the existing uses of the park or contribute meaningfully to the overall visitor experience. Now, I really appreciate that addition, if that's what it is, and I think that that works very well with the intention of what the public had. That is not repeated in the other parts of the document. It only talks about the economic development of the community, not the use of the park. However, in attachment A, which is what we are adopting, that sentence is not there. It just says about the commercial, about the infrastructure and economic development of the community. So this is why I still, yeah, if that sentence is meant to be there, it hasn't for some reason flown through to the document that we are adopting. And I would respectfully request that, sorry, I've lost you guys, where are you? I would respectfully request that the CE and the Mayor are able to ensure that that sentence is in the final version, because that's what I believe the track changes is telling us, and that it is possibly repeated in those other parts that that definition is provided, to ensure that when this plan is put to place, because it will be in place for many years and there will be different people using it and making decisions with it, that's clear, the intent is clear, and we can make sure that whilst we're allowing some commercial activity in that park, we're still protecting what is an amazing asset for the community and has its own special great little things about it that we don't want to necessarily disrupt. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
I'm going to speak, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Naya.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I have to applaud the committee for taking the effort and doing this whole exercise. So generally speaking, I'm in support of it. The only thing which I have issue with is that while we are promoting commercialization for the good of the people, not be one-eyed exercise. Should be open both eyes and look at options which are more financially sustainable. And I was surprised when I was told that there's expansion of Browns Road too. It's the same entity owning the golf club and the rest of the area. So I don't see any reason why we are putting a line in the sand that that's the way we have to go. We should keep our eyes open and look at opportunity where we can save ratepayers' money. So I think I'm for commercial, and if we are already in there, we should do a better job than that. So that's my only sole point on this. Thank you.
Okay, look, I'm going to have a little say here. I had the pleasure of officiating the official opening of the giant skateboard last weekend, and what a tremendous day it was to see how that park has been transformed over the years by predominantly voluntary input from locals. You know, there were kids on, there were hundreds of skateboards there and stuff, and you know, there were coffees going out the door, flat stick and all sorts of stuff. And you know, I think Jenny mentioned about repairs to skateboards as a commercial activity, things like that. I mean, you know, we got to be versatile, and we have any decisions or suggestions made by any future committee, it comes to full council. Okay, anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Howard, you have the mover's right to reply.
No further. Went all covered.
Okay, all those in favour raise their hands, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried, thank you.
Morning tea.
Oh yeah, everyone would like to have a wee break.
Wee break, that's right.
15 minutes, Mr.
Yep,
Chair.
15 minutes.
11:35 for those parties.
11:35. Okay. Welcome back to this council full meeting, 30th October 2024. On our agenda is Mangawhai Historical Village Licence to Occupy Variation. Could start please at the board. Fleur and Jenny. Oh yeah, can I have a mover for that please? Councillor Naya, second. Councillor Rachel. Okay, thank you.
Go.
Yeah.
Good again. Fleur and I are here today to present the Mangawhai Historic Village Licence to Occupy variation. The purpose of the report is to seek approval for the variation of the historic village's licence to occupy. They currently have their footprint at the moment is just the buildings that they have on our land. With a 1 metre curtilage, and what they're seeking is to be able to have, as you'll see indicated on the second page, where the red area is, so they'll be able to include 3 new structures and also have that area of land as their licence to occupy. I must say they too currently they actually are looking after it and maintaining it and have been for some time. So yeah.
Thank you. Any questions of Jenny?
Questions?
Okay, no questions. Thank you. You can stand down.
Oh, actually, if I may.
Okay.
I was very sorry. One quick question. We approve this today. Should timeline for them to go ahead and build it?
Yes. Through the chair, as soon as staff are able to make the variation and get that signed off, which is pretty much ready to go.
Do we have to go through the whole process of signing it off, or is it something in?
So as Jason's delegations to sign off the variations, it wouldn't be coming back.
There won't be. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I just,
okay.
Get on with it.
I'll get on with it. Yeah.
I'll ask one question as well, if you permit quickly. So there's one church is also being relocated?
Potentially, yes.
So would it be a church where sermons will be delivered, or just like for beauty, historic?
Building. As a building. So through the chair, it's the old Hokateri Church, which was originally, I understand, in Mangawhai.
Yeah.
And then went to Hokateri, and they have been approached to come back to Mangawhai district.
Thank you.
Could I just add a little bit of detail there, Mr. Mayor? This little church, stunning window at the pulpit end, about the size of the door behind you. It's stunning to sit in there, and there's a magnificent view out from that church, and great music venue potentially.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, you move a statement, Councillor Naya.
Yeah, I think it's a way forward, and I'm happy with any amendment in LTO which is giving ideas to develop the site. And looking at it, the band Rotunda probably will play some bands. I would love to come there. So, and the other areas also will bring more people to the historic village. So happy with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Second statement, Rachel Williams.
Thank you. Yeah, so the Mangawhai Community Park Governance Committee actually approved this request for a variation last November. So it's great to see it on the agenda and that we can move forward with it. I think the band Rotunda, the Mers Hut and the Hokateri Church were great additions to the Mangawhai Historic Village. So I look forward to them getting this work started and completed.
Thank you. Any other elected members wish to speak?
Yep.
Councillor Howard.
Mr. Mayor, look, I think that this is almost a close off of the next phase or a phase that's been there for a while. And the guys that are doing this are just so passionate, so diligent, so onto it, so wanting to make this happen. And they will do it well. And it'll be great to get this signed off and get them working on it. So thank you all to support it.
Aaron Wilson-Collins.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. I just wanted to, hello. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I support this as well. And I think, yeah, I love the work that the people are doing there at the Historic Village. And I think it's really exciting to see them extending their footprint and increasing what they've done there. Thanks.
Okay, we've had 3 or 4 members speak in support. Anyone want to speak against it? Okay, Councillor Mayer, you have the right to reply.
Nothing further to add, sir.
Okay, let's move to debate. All those in favour, raise their hand and say aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, item 4.7, Citizens Award Policy. Jenny Rooney will present this.
Thank you.
Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Move it, and have a seconder. Councillor Howard.
Going to bring the Citizens Award policy for the council to consider adopting today. We've already had some discussion at the council briefing and suggested some amendments which have been incorporated into the final draft. We've also had some questions come in from Councillor Vincent, and really in 2 of the questions were, one of them was around the MELA policy. So I don't really think that's relevant to this conversation, and that we would look at changing makeup of committee on the MELA committee at a later date. And secondly, the other questions, the actual Awards and Grants Committee who make decisions on this policy, that is something that will be addressed in the new triennium with the new council. So at the moment, it stands as it is with the Awards and Grants Committee. If you would like to, any more questions?
Any questions? Okay, no questions. Thank you, Jenny.
Could I just use the space to, it's not exactly a question, but perhaps I could say something to seek confirmation as to how this could play out. Like I did circulate an email what my concerns were earlier in the week. So I wonder if we were to separate out the issue of a citizens' awards policy from the entity which might administer that policy. Because we have had in this current administration an Awards and Grants Committee. I think previous iterations might have been separate committees, one for awards, one for grants. I'm not totally sure of that, but and I think part of my thinking got tangled up with trying to relate those 2 things to each other. And I wonder if we made a more explicit separation between what the policy says and the group of people which is going to administer it, which would be at the behest of the mayor and or council today. So what's your thoughts on that? How was that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if I may, Jenny, it is getting a little confusing and it probably doesn't need to be. What we've tried to do is reflect your feedback at the briefing around the committee structure and the power of the mayor to appoint and create committees, that sort of thing. I just want to reflect at the end of each term, all the committees end. They don't exist. Cease. So in the start of a new term, the mayor or the council have the right and the legislative right to design a committee structure, including the membership of. Okay, so at the moment, previously in the policy, it specifically talked about a specific committee. And I just noticed, just for clarity, section 1 still talks to the Awards and Grants Committee, so we'll have to change that under the delegation to reflect that committee. But I think it's best practice to avoid using the actual committee names when, you know, that changes every 3 years. There is a need to reflect what has happened historically to the incoming mayor and the incoming council. So there's a level of understanding about how that informs the committee structure. It includes adding the Miller committee. So what the governance team do at the start of a term is they work with the incoming mayor, they prepare a document that explains the history behind the committee structure that they've been in the past and why. And then obviously this will be part of it, and the need to determine a committee to be responsible for the citizens and awards, the grants, and of course Miller as well. And so it's quite a long-winded answer, Councillor Vincent, but I hope it's out.
Yeah, and I'm not wanting to make, we've made such good progress in getting through this meeting. I don't want to longer, but it's just, I'm just trying to put it in its proper place. So in that vein, is it possible that at any time, because it was the mayor determined this current committee structure, at any time we could decide to introduce a Miller committee, say, which would deal with Miller grant applications?
Correct.
Yeah. So that, and that's
all
quite separate to the words that we might adopt as our policy here and now. Yeah. So I guess, so where I'm getting to with that is, like, it's in the hands of the mayor. I've raised as a suggestion. I think that it's logical, but it's in his hands to act upon. But that, well, to make it even more explicit, it would be good perhaps not to refer to a committee to administer the policy, this citizens awards policy. I don't know.
So we do refer to a committee. It's a land committee. So it could be any committee. And that's my point. And that is, it's probably not best practice to include a name of a committee that may not exist after 3 years.
Yep.
But like I said, as staff and in governance staff, we recommend to the incoming mayor the need for the decision making around things like Miller, knowledge for staff, and the mayor of the day. He determines the committee structure and the reports that to council for council to look at as well.
Okay, so if I can just bear with me. So I also helped in my email about the need to provide some to the incoming mayor or council, the desirability of having principles of fairness and equity reflected in the membership of the committee. Now, if we're not saying which committee or how, then probably that comment doesn't really belong there either in the policy.
Which comment in the policy are you talking about?
I think the policy that isn't there, comment that isn't there at present, which I was saying could be there in the previous communications, and I realise you might not have caught up with it, but I was saying at our briefings, we talked about the need to have provide some guidance to the person determining the committee dealing with this. Act fairly and reasonably in deciding on the membership of the.
And that is part of the governance advice that we provide at the start of the term, recognising that it's entirely, you know, the incoming mayor's gambit as to the structure of the committee and the membership of. It comes to council.
Yeah, so I was just talking out loud my thinking process. I'm getting there, okay, with saying if we can just let this go as it is, except that could we do some more pruning in terms of to the committee that might administer it? Or
yeah, so section 1.1, which I indicated before, which awards and grants, that's incorrect. We should just have the committee. And we will tidy up any other instances if this awards and grants is mentioned. So we're making it very bland. There's a committee that's responsible for this work, not telling the council in the policy what committee is responsible, because that's a little unfair on the incoming mayor and incoming council.
Yeah, thank you. Just to, hopefully, I think this clarifies it. If we go to 3.7 on that same page, I think that just absolutely clarifies it, unless I'm reading it wrong. And yes, we can take out the reference in 1.1 to specific committee, but I think that 3.7 is quite clear. To Mark's point. Yeah. Been there.
Yeah, I can relate to what Mark's trying to push here.
Okay.
Further questions of Jenny? Okay, thank you, Jenny. Okay. Yeah, I think we've just discussion. I'm not going to head to it. Councillor Howard, second statement.
No, nothing further to add. I think we've had good discussion.
Okay, any other elected members wish to speak? No? Okay, thank you. Movers right to reply. I've said enough. All those in favour, raise their hand and say aye. Aye. Against, motion carried. Thank you. Next on our agenda is 4.8, Environmental Awards Policy 2024. Welcome back, Jenny. Can I have a move for that, please?
Okay.
Councillor Vincent, can I have a second? I'll second it. Thank you.
Thank you. The purpose of the report today is to seek the council adoption of the environmental awards policy. And again, this was brought to the October council briefing, and the recommendations that you made there have been incorporated, primarily that it's policy changes from an annual policy to a 3-yearly nomination process and then ceremony. Other than that, there's been no other changes.
Okay.
You'd like, if there's any questions?
Any questions? No, thank you, Jenny. Statement, Councillor Vincent.
Oh, yeah, not a lot I can say. On the one hand, it's kind of sad that we haven't had response to this over the past couple of years, but on the other hand, I also recognise that there's a bigger fish swimming in these waters, just the regional council, and their awards sort of largely overlap with district council ones, and at least we're holding it on as an opportunity once each term for the council to acknowledge people in the community.
Thank you. Any other elected members wish to speak? Okay, put it to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 4.9, meeting calendar for 225.
Get it in.
Item. Thank you, Kelly. Can I have a mover for that, please? So Howard, can I have a seconder? Councillor Rachel Williams. Thank you, Kelly.
Good morning. I will take the report as read. So what we have is our meeting calendar that you would have seen at the briefing a few weeks ago. The edits to that, feedback that you gave at that briefing have been made to the calendar. So I'm just happy to take questions.
Okay, any questions? Councillor Vincent.
Could we have a printed copy?
Certainly.
So that we can see all of them on 3 sides.
The only thing I would say to that, Councillor Vincent, that it will change. We may get out of that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly. Statement, Councillor Howard.
Well, here we go. Planning for 2025, and it'll be good to get it in the diary. So I think that it's well thought out. What it follows on from where we are, and generally it has worked pretty well, I think. So thank you all.
Councillor Rachel Williams.
Thank you. Yeah, look, just to thank Kelly and the staff who are involved with this, putting it together. Yeah, it'll be here before we know it.
Thank you. Councillor No, you wish to speak?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say this, all is well. I mean, but in terms of EM's development day, which we have planned and not achieved last time, I'm just thinking, what's the need to have it anyway? Because it's a wasteful expenditure. It costs 5,000 or something to have one. So can we have less of it? That's the only I'm saying, rather than every 2 monthly, maybe once in 6 months or something.
Thank you, councillor Vincent.
Mr Mayor, yeah, I wish to speak on the same topic. And I did speak on this maybe at the last meeting too. I think this council is really in need of professional development. And I think it's breathtaking that we should consider cancelling them. I mean, we could just carry on doing what we've done this year, which is not have them. But we really do need to have them. And I suggested an easy topic for starters with a minimal cost, which would be in dealing with standing orders, which could be facilitated by our chief executive, for instance, which was minimal external consultant cost. But I think it could lead to a better flow of the way our meetings are run. I mean, the day's been very quiet and we've got through an awful lot of some really important decisions, and I'm really pleased about that. But it don't always go like that. So I think that's an easy, like that's low-hanging fruit to be picked. And I think it would benefit particularly any councillors who are contemplating standing for a second term, to have a better understanding of how it works, because yeah, at times, like I said before, I'm embarrassed. This is being recorded live, you know? So it's really disappointing, the fact that we've got to nearly November and we haven't had any professional development.
Thank you, Mike. Councillor Erin Wilson-Collins.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to back that up. And I think those are valid comments and good comments. And I hope that this council will take those on board and be able to improve the performance of our elected members and their knowledge, and take up the opportunities that are there. They're budgeted for, and they're available, and they're now scheduled in the calendar. So to see those consistently be cancelled, I hope that that's going to stop. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? All right, movers right to reply. Councillor Howard.
I take on board the comments, and you know, I had noted that there's a good reference to them, those meetings scheduled for next year. And yes, it is a pity that we've missed out on them, I think, this year. But moving ahead, it's positive, and they're positively in the schedule. So yeah, let's make it happen.
Right, put it to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hand, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Thank you. Right. Next on our agenda is item 4.10, amendment to standing orders, remote participation counted for a quorum. Move that. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Nair. Staff is Lana.
Good afternoon. Yeah. So this is, I'll take the report as read. This is to seek approval of the adoption of the updated standing orders provided in attachment A. So the updates align with legislative changes, the local government electoral legislation Act 2023, amended the Local Government Act 2002 from the 1st of October, making remote participation permanent option for members, and prior to that there was the temporary emergency legislation, which was repealed at the end of September. So the proposed updates, just to align with the legislation, I think there is a revision of the definition of quorum to include remote participation, sets of these definitions, the standing orders, and then removing return physically in relevant orders. And there is another addition I've added, which is clause 13.7, to include public forums. And that clause at the moment, it only has that it's the right to attend by audio or audio visual link. And you'll see in that clause that and members of the public for the purpose of a deputation approved by the chairperson. So I've also included for the purpose of a deputation and public forum, because we do have public forum members present online. And just one last point is that justifies a 75% majority vote for members present today. So I think we have 9 members, so that means we'll need 7.
Okay, any questions of Councillor Lambeth, followed by Councillor Howard?
So just to clarify one thing there, thanks, Alana. People online will count as a quorum, but then we have a look at 13.15. If that link is lost, we could be in a situation where we start a meeting with a quorum and then we've got to stop and start and stop and start. Am I correct there? Because 13.15 relates to link failure, and when the link fails, you're deemed to not be attending. So there is a problem there.
It is correct. So we have had online meetings. It could be an issue. However, hopefully without technology improving, and we could just check in with the elected members to make sure that they're going to be at a location where they have a good connection. I think we could try and get around that. We don't often have fully online meetings, but yes.
That's a really interesting point that Councillor Lambert's brought up. I was on a Zoom the other day and they couldn't get me clearly, so they actually phoned me and put me on speakerphone so I could at least talk, even though I wasn't visibly lookable, which was probably good for the meeting. But that's another option, isn't it, to make sure that you keep your quorum? Is that correct?
Yeah.
If I may add to the same thing, I think the quorum is decided before the start of the meeting. If you have the quorum, and if you get disconnected and all, it doesn't mean the meeting ends, because sometimes some of the members decide to leave the meeting in between, and we don't count our quorum at that point.
Previously, we do. So yeah, so the governance team keep an eye on the quorum. That is the minimum number of people that are here at any time to make a decision. So if say 4 of you leave now, 5 of you leave now, you lose quorum, meeting stops.
Okay. So here's my point. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Howard, have a keep in front of a Councillor Aaron Wilson.
My question relates to, is there any limitation on numbers that can be online for any meeting? We have the odd meeting that is specifically set up for online, no doubt. These aren't. I think that a meeting loses some effect if too many are online, or is that just a subjective point on my part, perhaps?
Okay. So what the standing orders are doing here is reflecting that you have the ability to attend a meeting online, and there is no minimum either, as long as because if you're online, you're counting towards the quorum.
Yeah.
It gives people the flexibility, and obviously it's been used quite a lot in our district, given the large distances that lead to travel, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking from the ratepayers who do regularly tune into these meetings. They see a room, nobody there, everybody online. Not quite the same. That's all I'm getting at.
I suppose essentially the standing orders has just been tweaked to reflect the current environment.
Yep.
Yeah. Councillor Aaron Wilson Collins. Question?
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, Alana, you said in your presentation there that we have 9 elected members, so we would need 7, but we don't have 10 elected members?
Councillor Manderson is absent today.
Oh,
Apology.
right. Sorry, I can't see everybody, so I'd forgotten that. Thank you.
And there lies another point.
Okay, any other questions? Ilana, move the statement. Yeah, I think this is just basically recognising something that needed tidying up and improving. Secondly, yep, I'm in favour of it. Councillor Nair, second statement.
Yeah, I'm totally in favor of it for two reasons. One, it gives the flexibility to the people who is disabled or sick. They can still, be part of the meeting and make some important decisions. So I think it's a step forward in the new world. Thank you.
Any other elected members wish to speak? Erin Wilson-Collins, got your hand up there.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this is good. Yes, absolutely support it. I do understand Councillor Lambeth's concern about the reliance on online technology. We actually did have a recent awards and grants meeting that had to be paused because we did lose connection and most of our attendants were online. It is part and parcel, I guess, of using it, but it's not common. And as Alana said, is hopefully the technology improves things get better there. I think that the flexibility that attending online has allowed us as elected members has been fantastic. And obviously this came in a big way with COVID, and all our meetings were online. Having such a large district that we cover and having times where both myself and Councillor Paniora are under the weather and are unable to travel means we've both still been able to attend today's meeting. So I think it actually gives our constituents more bang for their buck as such, because elected members are still able to make a contribution when they can. So that's really good. I had another point that's gone. Oh my God, I'm really winning today. I can't remember what it was. Oh well, looking forward to that standing orders training though. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Lambeth.
Yeah, I'm going to run against the tidy. I'm against this. The quorum can easily be obtained. Just because you're online doesn't mean to say you lose your voting rights. Am I correct there? That you can still vote, but the quorum has got to be here in the room.
No.
Okay.
That's what they're changing.
Okay. Well, I've got that wrong then. Sorry.
All right, anyone else wish to speak? Okay, movers right to reply. I think we've gone through this and it's been reasonably discussed and I'm going to be voting for it. Let's see if we get 75%. All those in favour raise their hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Those against?
Should we
against?
put division just to be 100%?
Yeah, I think you're right, Mark. We'll have a division. Yeah.
Councillor Howard.
For.
Councillor Lambeth.
Against.
Councillor Larson.
For.
Councillor Nair.
For.
Councillor Paniora.
For.
Councillor Vincent.
For.
Councillor Williams. For. Councillor Wilson-Collins.
For.
Mayor Jetman.
For.
That's been carried.
That's 75%. Okay. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda is item 5.1, acceptance report for September 2024. Can I have a mover for that, please? So Mayor and a second, Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Jesse will talk about the finance.
Good afternoon, everybody. In this report, we're showing you the financial results against budget for the first quarter. So far, overall, bottom line, we are $500,000 behind budget where we thought we'd be in the year. And those results are mostly influenced by council being significantly behind on subsidy revenue. Vacant roading positions and staff leave resulted in a delay in the submission of the September NZTA subsidy claim. So that subsidy revenue for September is not yet included in these numbers. The other outlier in activity revenue is in our building control and resource management areas, with income tracking under budget to date. Building activity is starting out to be another slow year like last year, and there's been no commercial developments in the first quarter. And those are the ones that attract the larger number of inspections and therefore the highest fees. We are tracking well under budget on contractors and professional services in our activity costs, which are areas council is focusing on saving in. Though us being under budget in those areas to date may just be due to phasing of the budget and therefore timing of the actual spend. And our capital expenditure is currently 9% complete, with 6.3 million spent against a total budget of 70 million. Happy to take questions.
Questions, Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Jesse. We'll go straight to your last point. The capital. I mean, we agonised as we learned about managing, carryovers and the likes. And have we set up for ratepayers too much cost? Now, rates because of the capital program and then not delivering. Now, I do understand that we're talking about first 3 months, and they are the winter months, which will have an impact on some elements. But do we really have it in our means to get back on track and utilise and have a minimal amount unspent at the end of the fiscal year? It's very easy to be alarmed at that figure. I don't have a comparison, and I didn't get to look up with last year. And I totally understand the roading situation. But there's a lot of every other element basically is well down. So that's my question. Do we have it in plan?
Through the chair, if I can answer that for Jesse. So yes, we are just, through the first 3 months of the year. So our focus really has been on writing and delivering business cases and project briefs to hand to our project delivery team. It's where the bulk of it is, and where our project team are focused at the moment is on completing some of those carry forwards that we've come through. We do believe that we're going to nail the majority of the capital delivery program. We've got a strong focus on that, and we have, through the restructure, and additional project management resources to help us achieve that.
Okay, so thank you. So if I may extend that question then, is that you understand what you're saying, Hallie, about, you got to work through the teams and work up the projects and that. We had the carryovers. They didn't need all of that. They were there.
For the last 4 months, and by the end of this year, we have delivered another about 8 to 10 projects.
So can we have, and look, I may well have missed it, but could we have a specific table that shows our progress against carryovers?
Yes, I thought that we could put into that.
No? Thank you. Thank you.
Further questions, Councillor Howard? No.
Can I?
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a number of questions, sorry. So what I can do, I go quick, and you say yes, no, whatever.
Okay.
So first of all, the basis of budgeting, there is a shortfall because of you projected 49 building consents, you delivered 9, things like that. What is the basis of that budgeting? Is it historical or something else?
Depends on what you're looking at. What you're referring to as our contributions income, and that is budgeted based on our growth and our expectation of how many properties will connect to that scheme to generate that contribution income.
We have to revisit it to make it more realistic. Number 2, 10 million paid or not? It says 6 of 20.
It's been paid.
So it should be corrected?
This is as at September, but that will show in the next October report.
Okay, anyway,
yeah.
Page 7, Mangawhai procurement was also supposed to be done in September. Is it done now or not? Page 7.
That's the procurement on the replace, is that right? Doctor's Hill.
Yeah. Done? Okay. Just update the date or maybe.
Wait, put two ticks, count.
20/23, sorry.
Go on.
So you approved the procurement plan for the Doctors Hill
Yes.
procurement, and the tenders for that work are up at the moment, and so we will be having it underway.
Well, they were closed on September 26th.
Yeah, so we'll be reviewing those and we'll be going out to preferred suppliers too.
All right, I carry on. Just a couple of questions, Mr. Mayor, if you bear with me. This is money, so that's why I have to keep asking. 20/23. So, falling on to Councillor Howard's thing, I actually went in and see what's need a work program when they're gonna be done. So the first one is 770K, if I remember correctly, on Dagaville thing. Minus 770. This was actually approved by NZTA when we took off that. So we should have got this money. 770 is 1% of ratepayers, and it's sitting there.
I'm just trying to see where you're referring to the seven.
The first one is Dagaville, you know, the walk, which we said no, $8 million. We spent 770,000 on it. And I was told the first item, page 20/2. Yeah.
Page.
You're on the capital expenditure by.
Yes, number one.
I was thinking before. $770,000.
Is it 770 only? Okay. All right, so carry on to Gabriel Fund, which is actually unfortunately $9 million. This is sitting there. We'll be having a work program. I think the last meeting we were talked at WDC and us, maybe Mayor, maybe Mr. Morris can explain, formed a joint committee with the Whangarei District Council on phase 3 works. So this 9 million, I need to see some work program when they're gonna be finished, because otherwise it's just vanish in thin air.
This is the roading program?
Yes.
Yes, so I don't have visibility.
We have a program manager appointed to do the phase 3 works. Those works have been reported previously to council. What you're asking is the timing around them, I believe we are, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have provided those projects to you before. We'll work with the phase 3 manager to get some more information.
We got the money a year ago, Mr. Morris, right?
Remember, Councillor Nair, that phase 3 works are the more complicated ones. They require geotech works and there's a lot of investigation.
Sorry?
A lot of investigation to make sure that we get those phase 3 remedial works completed and completed properly.
Thank you. Yeah, I just need to know when. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor?
Last one.
Should I just leave it for you? Okay, I'll leave it for you.
Okay, who do I have in line next? Councillor Vincent, Councillor Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two things. One, page 4 of the document, there's reference to repairs and maintenance. And it says that this is in regard to Mangawhai sewage, wastewater treatment plant. Operators are looking at ways to optimise sludge content. I guess my question is, are they looking at ways to turn that into a resource that actually might provide a return or some other benefit?
I'm sure they're probably considering it. I know what they're trying to do is understand how they can make the content way less. It's currently very wet and that therefore heavier. And so it costs more to dispose of it. But that's what they're looking at, but I can always go and talk to them about it.
Perhaps get their heads around the idea of thinking of it as a potential resource that maybe has a future use rather than just something to be disposed of. It might actually turn into something.
Peace out.
And my other question was going back to I had seen it and Councillor Nair raised it regarding the Doctors Hill water main renewal. What it actually says here is that the tender evaluation was completed 1st of October, and the tenderer had until the 8th of October to accept or decline the contract. So has the contract been accepted?
Yeah, I'll have to double check that. I'm saying as we went back with more questions. So yeah, I'll double check that for you.
If you could, because I might have. Thank you. That's me.
Yeah, any further questions? Councillor Lambert.
Thank you, through the mayor. Mine's just a clarification question. I don't know if you'll be able to answer it or not. we referred to page 8 of your report and page 11. There's two graphs there. One is the building consent applications received in the past 4 years, and it shows a tracking graph. And the graph of interest on page 11 are resource consent applications over the past 3 years. And it gives actual numbers there. Now, I know other councils in the north and around, the building consents are generally 5 times more than what the resource consents are. Am I correct in seeing this, that we are almost building consent to track a resource consent all the time and are tracking even? Am I correct there, that there are
Number of consent applications, and we're required to report on our compliance with those applications, but the revenue that is generated from those applications is vastly different depending on what sort of consent application it is.
I appreciate that. I'm just talking about the numbers. We see 49, 50 and 46 for building consents. And then we compare that same period and we've got 40, 23 and 39 resource consents. Am I correct in those numbers are that high for resource consents compared to building consents?
Are you
correct as reported?
Yeah, right. Numbers are correct. Whether or not they're linked is.
Yeah.
No, but I do find that alarming comparing with us with other districts. Why are resource consents through the roof compared to our building consents? But anyway, so I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Subdivisions happening.
We're living in so Mangawhai is the fastest growing part of Northland.
Yep.
It's not Northland. So it's not unheard of to have a whole bunch of resource consent.
Yeah, no, I appreciate every subdivision requires resource consent. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And if I may, to clarify, in most instances of a building consent, there will be a resource consent that will flow out of that?
No.
You can't link.
You can't.
You can't link building consents with resource consents and say they're going up like this.
Going to infringe on a side yard or a front yard or coverage or like basically a breach of the rules, then that would trigger the need for.
That's what I was getting at, is that, if you have an application in for a building consent and there's something that needs resource consent to get that through, not coverage area, but.
If the proposal complies with the district plan, then it won't be the resource.
Yeah, that means each one's specific to what's.
So what I'm probably highlighting here, there are a lot of development as a CE is suggested, but maybe our district plan is inadequate or interpretation of it is triggering a lot more resource consent proportionally to other districts in the area. Thanks.
You're trying to put bigger houses on smaller sections.
Yeah, well, it's something we could do. Thank you. Any further questions? All right, you can stand down.
Yes.
Mover's statement, Councillor Nair, followed by seconded statement, Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this exception report is exceptional in terms of putting a perspective on where we are with the money, especially. I think this is an opportunity to actually question the concept, to know what is forward. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's great to be able to look at these figures and particularly on the money side of things and keep an eye on tracking and making sure we're going. I mean, I don't think we really want to go back and have a big carryover at the end of this year, if that's all possible. I think, though, that it is interesting to look at page 75 of the document, 575 of the document, and look at the consents of interest to August 24th, not September. And, there is a lot of work that's coming through. A lot of activity that's coming through, and I guess we're starting to see the first of the Mangawhai Central residentials. So there is work potentially, well, definitely in the pipeline, and hopefully that might well lead a resurgence of, and we start seeing some of the new sections, maybe not in the immediate future, but of the Dargaville plan change areas. But it's good to see that there is some work going to come through at an increased rate.
181 lots on Awakino Road.
Yep.
Okay,
That'll be the racecourse.
in the other one.
Oh, no, not Awakino, that's.
Moonlight Heights.
Yeah, Moonlight Heights.
Okay, any other elected members wish to speak? Councillor Vincent?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This opportunity, new in the news, that the government has announced its intentions to change the rules in relation to inspections for building consents. And I just want to say, I hope that we have the opportunity to provide a submission to the government on its proposal.
Not sure if that's the case or not.
They announced, I think, yesterday. Yep. So we'll just have to work out what the.
Put it out for consultation or not.
Councillor Lambert?
Yeah, if I could help you, I think it's the big companies like the GJ Gardeners.
Yeah, oh, yeah. It's, for me, it might be an opportunity for us to reduce our exposure to risk and perhaps it could affect our insurance policies.
Wish to speak? Okay, movers right reply, councillor Naya.
Nothing further to add.
Okay, it's put to the vote. All those in favour say, raise their hand and say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried. Thank you. 5.2, resolutions register update October 2024. I'll move that. Can I have a seconder? That's councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy to take questions.
One question.
How they here? Councillor Naya.
Thank you. I'll be quick. So page 5 of 17. Here is this item 3 going on. Why October 2024 says ongoing discussions continuing with Thai Thokura Water Trust, and it has been continuing for 6 months. What is the interest? Why we are continuing discussion with Thai Thokura, and we are not having any updates on the other option of Whitewood Dam?
Thanks, Councillor. I think you ask this every month. We are having continued conversations. Well, you are, because it's the same answer.
I think we should look at not negative.
Hang on, can you allow the CEO to answer the question?
With the Water Trust, I think it's important that we do so. We're not in a position yet to bring it to you. But of course, when we do, that other is a possible part of that.
Why we're wasting time continuing with them? Why don't we just take it off the agenda and when it comes, it comes? It's 3 years. So I would not like to see it in the next one.
I think it will be there because we once we complete it, then we'll take it off.
Okay, any further questions? Howard.
Please, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Item 6, Kaiwaka Can, McLean's Park. From May to October, we've had development agreement and still with Kaiwaka Can. Have we had any discussion with them about, are they moving that along? What is the status? Are we just leaving it there?
Well, no, we will be talking
them to do something.
Chair, my understanding is that we are encouraging them to get it across the line. We're just finalising points within the agreement, but we hope to have that done before Christmas. Closed out.
Cool. That'd be great.
Trying to out some reasons to be able.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, anyone?
I have one more question, Mr. Mayor. Number 9. So these farms, we approved to buy some paper road, I think, by Matinau Montonui Farms Limited, road stopping. And I think I'm more concerned, rather than they're not coming back with anything, is that we sold it at a valuation of 670,000. And you have noted that the sale of land at 607 will not proceed until the road stopping has been done. So it can take years. Would the 670,000 has a limited, there got to be a date that it has to be revalued after some time?
Yeah, that's a fair question, Councillor. Now, yes, we will have to relook at the valuation if considerable time has gone
can we note here somewhere in the resolution register that it will be read?
This does reflect the resolutions that were passed. I suppose it sits with them at the moment. But no, this was.
Okay, movers. I'm satisfied with this. Second statement, councillor Howard.
Nothing further to add.
Okay, any other elected members wish to speak? All right. Leaders right to reply. I think we've done this one. All those in favour, raise their right hand, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Against, motion carried. Now, I'm going to ask members if they want me to carry through or have lunch, because let's carry through. Everyone happy? Okay, let's do it. So I move into PEX. Can I have a second?
Yeah.
Councillor Naya, all those in favour say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. First item is confirm the PEX. Oh,
Stop the recording.
stop the recording.
Stop the recording.
Yeah, yeah.